know about you guys, but I spent almost my entire Sunday looking forward to this season finale. We now know who ended up dying, who ended up thriving, and we got some truly emotional moments. And I am not just talking about sad emotional moments, there are happy emotional moments in this season finale as well. Let's dive into the season finale of the White Lotus Season 3, and by the end of this video, I'm going to give you guys my score for the overall season as a whole. Let's discuss. When I was combing through the footage for this episode, I came to a realization. I realized that we have spent this entire season being shown glimpses of water. And for good reason. Not only is water what we are mostly made up of, but it does tie back to that moment that Tim has at the temple with that monk who basically explains that our life is like a drop of water emerging from the ocean, and our death is that return back into that body of water. It's when we give our energy back to the universe, back to the planet, whatever you want to call it. So I would say if there's one thing you should definitely take from this season, it's the importance and the symbolism of water. Now let's start with the Ratliff family. These people we've all been very entertained by, and let's start out by talking about this moment between Laki and Saxon. We finally have them talking about that weird incestuous night they had together, because Saxon has been avoiding Laki like the plague, and Laki finally says, "Hey dude, are you mad at me for some reason?" To which Saxon says, "Dude, it's okay for you to worship me, but it's not okay for you to worship me, if you know what I mean." And we get a pretty sad explanation from Laki as to why he did this. Laki explains that he is someone that likes to please people. He wants to see people be happy, and he learned this habit from being in a family of narcissists who are just so self-involved and so interested in their own happiness. He just, I don't know, being the youngest person, something about that, it just left him feeling like I have to do what I can to make these people happy. And I'm guessing it's not just his family. He probably is a pleaser in all aspects of life. He probably wants his friends to be happy as well. They agreed to never talk about that night again, but you can't help but feel like Saxon is not done dealing with the trauma. And if anything, Laki's explanation might have made him feel even worse, because now he's realized just how much he's been grooming his brother. At least I hope he did. Laki is one of the most innocent people in this family. I mean it. Jerking off his brother and all, he is a pure soul whose intentions have been twisted. He has just been given a life that is very confusing to him. He's surrounded by this life of luxury and wealth, these types of big personalities, and he kind of evolved from that. His desire to please people so much to the point that he jerks off his brother, that is very much his interpretation of love. It's a very distorted interpretation of love, but it's what he knows. I don't think Laki is a terrible person at all, but I do think that if he wants to succeed in life, he's got to get the hell away from this family. He's got to get away from these material objects. He's got to get away from these narcissistic personalities. That's going to be the only way that Laki has a long-term happy ending after this series. We've known for a bit now that Tim is facing some hardships that is going to affect the entire family. And in the previous episode, he comes to realize just how ill-equipped his family is to survive these hardships. It's in this episode that he decides to end it all for his entire family, except for Laki. He questions Laki and says, "Hey Laki, do you think you can survive with all these material things? Do you think you can live a more simple life?" And Laki says, "Sure, I think I can do that." So he does not make the hit list. But Piper, well, much to Victoria's happiness, because this woman really wanted Piper to hate the monastery, well, it turns out Piper wasn't that into it. She didn't like the food. She didn't like her bedroom at the monastery. She realized that, yes, I am in fact attached to all these hugely material objects. I want a life of luxury and comfort, and Victoria just loves to hear it. But Tim doesn't, because now he's like, damn, you can't survive either, so now I gotta kill you as well. Which leads to him harvesting a bunch of fruits that all have poisonous pits, and he uses these pits to make pina coladas for the whole family, with the intent of them all passing peacefully in their sleep. However, as the family starts to drink those pina coladas, he changes his mind. He realizes, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. I think that we as a family, we can make it through these hard times that are coming up. But unfortunately, Laki felt so left out from this giant toast that they were all about having. So, because Tim did not clean the blender and left some of the little bits of that pina colada and those poisonous nuts in the blender, Lockie decides, now's my chance. The next morning he decides to, now's my chance. I'm gonna make a smoothie, a protein smoothie using the blender. And by the way, this whole protein smoothie thing, this is yet again more proof of Saxon's just controlling of his brother. If Saxon hadn't been forcing his brother to continuously drink these protein shakes to try to make his brother this big beefy beefcake that he wants to be, then Lockie wouldn't have been trying to do this. But Lockie is obsessed with trying to be like his brother. He wants to make his brother proud, so he makes a protein shake using this dirty ass blender, and he ends up dying as a result of it. And when he dies, wouldn't you know it, we are shown more water. We are shown Lockie in the water trying to reach the surface, but he can't reach the surface. But he does see the silhouettes of 4 or 5 monks. It looks like monks. This was supposed to represent him attempting to reach heaven, or I'm not sure what that's supposed to represent, but life in general. Water is such a key thing in this season, and this is just more proof of that. But suddenly a miracle occurs and Lockie wakes up. He's not dead, and Tim is just ecstatic to see it. He would have felt like shit if his son died because he didn't clean that blender. It would have just been a traumatizing experience for the whole family, so I am glad that Lockie did survive. He's got another chance at life, and maybe he'll use that second chance that he's got to grow up and become independent from this family of just poisonous individuals. Jumping over to our 3 friends, Kate, Lori, and Jacqueline, I really was satisfied with the closure that we got from these 3 girls. They have been at each other's throats through most of the season, going through moments of talking shit about each other back and forth. It's been kind of hard to watch, but now we got a good conclusion for them. I think Lori's monologue during this scene is something that a lot of people can connect to. She's a woman who hasn't achieved nearly as much as her 2 friends, and each day on this vacation, she kept seeing more and more reminders of how her choices led her to where she is. And yes, she does have a jealousy to it because she is a human. Humans we get jealous, unfortunately. She's hanging out with people that have more than she does, and she develops a resentment over it. But by the end of this season, this episode particularly, she realizes that maybe I have more than I thought. It's a very powerful moment, and one that I hope will inspire more people to look around at the things they have and try to be grateful that they have what they have. And I am totally guilty of this, by the way. I connect very much to Lori's character because I am surrounded by people who are more successful than me too. I have friends that I see taking luxurious vacations, going on fancy trips, buying fancy cars. Yes, everything I just said is about money because money does make the world go round and money makes your life more comfortable. And I don't have a ton of it. So I'm looking at all these people around me and I see all these choices that they made, and then I look at my choices and I can't help but feel like I'm a massive failure. And so that's why I connect to Lori so much. And her moment of clarity actually did make me feel somewhat positive as well. Now, I'm not saying I'm cured from my self-pity. I can't help it. I am surrounded by people that are just doing better than me, and it bums me out to no end. I'm really hoping that things change for me, and I'm really hoping that I can take some of the lessons that I learned from Lori's story in this season and apply it to myself. We'll see how that goes. Jumping over to Belinda and Zion, well, thanks to Zion's braveness or stupidity, these two ended up having a very happy ending. Zion is certainly a smooth talker, and he manages to make Greg realize that Belinda needs more money than this $100K that he originally offered her. He says, look, I know how much you made from this deal with Tanya dying, and I want more from my mom. She wants more. She wants total comfort if she's going to swallow her morals and keep your secret a secret. People might feel let down by Belinda for taking this money and agreeing to silence, but that's $5 million. And this is a woman who has struggled her entire life, and now she's being given this life-changing amount of money that's going to change everything about her life. It might be wrong for her to hide what she knows about Greg's past and what he did to Tanya, but that is a big amount of money, and it's going to do way more for her life than exposing Greg would do. So I suppose the question that I'm posing to you guys as the audience is, Are your morals worth more than $5 million? Gaitak confronts Valentin about his friend's involvement in the robbery, because at the end of the last episode, Gaitak puts together that these three guys that he saw at the boxing match are the same people that robbed the resort. At first, Valentin pretends, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't know these guys, I just happen to be sitting next to them, but eventually he comes clean and he says, yes, I do know these guys, and they're very desperate. As a matter of fact, please don't tell on us, because if you do, we're gonna get deported and our lives are gonna be over. And this is the moment that Gaitak starts to question whether or not he can even be a security guard at all, because he actually does sympathize with Valentin and his three friends. And that is what he considers to be a weakness, a quality that a person that is doing security should not have. People might feel like Gaitak and Mook's storyline didn't really add much to the show, but I happen to think that Gaitak is one of the most pure souls on this entire season, and his journey and just his intentions. He's a beautiful, beautiful, well-written character. He gave me hope. He made me feel hope. He represents the best of humanity, and he does get a big moment in this episode that proves to himself that he is more than he thinks he is. But to get to that moment, we need to jump over to Rick and Chelsea, because their big moment leads to Gaitak's big moment. We get a very beautiful and powerful scene when Rick arrives back at the White Lotus. Chelsea is just ecstatic to see him. She is so proud to find out that he didn't kill that guy. And not only that, but he tells her that he feels the weight of the pain that he's been feeling his whole life lifted from this interaction that he had with him. It's a huge moment of satisfaction. She's so proud of him. But it all comes crashing down when Jim and Shrutala arrive back at the hotel, and Rick ends up running into Jim. I'm not sure why Rick wasn't thinking this was a possibility. This is Jim and Shrutala's hotel after all, so there was always a good chance that that dude that you roughed up in Bangkok, he's gonna possibly come back to this hotel. I don't know why Rick didn't think this was gonna happen, but it does end up happening. And now this second interaction, it just does not go well. Rick does end up killing the man. And immediately Shrutala says, why? Why did you do this? And he says, this guy killed my father. Shrutala's like, hey, he is your father. So the internet was right. Darth Vader moment confirmed. Yet again, I just can't predict shit when it comes to these TV shows. This leads to a big shootout, and Rick and Chelsea end up both dying. And it's Gaitak who puts the final bullet into Rick, who was ordered by a very angry Shrutala to shoot. There's almost a Romeo and Juliet quality to the love story between Chelsea and Rick. These two they were star-crossed lovers, you could say. They're just two people who are destined to have a bad ending. But I don't think that their entire ending is bad if you look at it in a certain light. While it's normal to feel sad that Chelsea ended up dying, I would counter by saying I bet that Chelsea has no regrets about anything that happened in this final episode. She loved Rick, she wanted to help Rick, and she was willing to put up with so much to see him find peace. He did get that peace, even though it ended up taking both of their lives. But I think Chelsea, if someone were to ask her at the gates of heaven, do you wish you would have left Rick behind and just moved on with your life? I think she would say no. I think she would say, this was worth it. Love doesn't always make sense, but that's why it's so powerful. This season has been all about coming to terms with the things you can't change, finding peace in the world around you, and growing as a person. The opening title song of this season is called Enlightenment, and I think it fits the theme of this season perfectly. This season was all about discovery and finding strength, finding your truth, coming to terms with your life and accepting it, but also learning about yourself, seeing that you can do more, that you can be more, that you aren't defined by your choices or your wealth. Each season of this series, in my opinion, has felt very Shakespearean in the fact that it always ends up revolving around a tragedy. But that tragedy ends up leading to a rebirth for the people that don't die. They leave the White Lotus with a new chance to make new choices, and that's something that we all have every day in our real lives. We wake up and we make choices from the beginning of our day to the end. And those choices, they are all totally in our control. Some of them are good choices, some of them are bad, but they are all us. Therefore, in order to change your choices, you have to change you. You have to look at yourself and say, what do I need to change about myself to make better choices in my life? It's kind of powerful when you think about it. There is just a ton of symbolism in this series, and honestly, I'm probably barely scratching the surface of some of the depth to these themes that this series has to offer. I thought this was another stellar season. It might not be my favorite season or my favorite finale, but this was another solid season of powerful, amazing, remarkable, transformative storytelling from Mike White. The characters are all so memorable, and after 8 episodes, don't you feel like you know these people? I know I do. I feel like I personally became friends with Chelsea. I feel like I know Saxon quite well. I feel like I know so much about Belinda. These people, the writing, the way this story just flows. It's an hour-long episode, except for this last episode, but it's just amazing how all this time you spend with these people, and you do start to feel like they are almost real people, like you've really met new friends and new people. To me, that's a sign of great writing. So I would give this season as a whole a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed quite a bit about it. And it's just really cool to see a series that gets people talking, gets people conversing. Yes, people have mixed opinions about this season, and that's okay. We're allowed to disagree with things. That's what makes us human. It's something that's so important. It's literally crucial to the existence of life. We're going to have a yin and we're going to have a yang. And that's what Rick and Chelsea were to each other. And that's what we as people are. We're a yin and a yang. So we can choose to learn from the lessons that this season taught us, or we can choose to continue with our life and wonder why nothing is getting better. Or does get better. I don't know. What's going on in your life? That's your business. But if you liked this season, go ahead and please put your thoughts. Actually, even if you didn't like the season, just put your thoughts on the season in the comments and let me know, what did you think of it? What did you take away from it? If you like this video, please hit the like button to let me know that you like it. And if you want to hear more things from me, subscribe to this channel. Later.